What is going on, Steelers fans, Steelers Nation, Picnic Pack? How's everybody doing? It is Jacob Puntori here, not Noah Strackbine, as much as I'd love to do a great impression of him today, filling in for today's call-in show for you valued members. We all know our boy Noah's going through a little bit of renovations, some projects going on over at the Strackbine household over in the new stew. So to make things a little bit easier for our boy, I figured I would do my first call-in show for him because I've been asking him like, yo, how can I hear more of these besides just watching them afterwards? Would love to participate a little bit more. So I'm happy to be here. Looks like we got a bunch of calls from Yin's guys, and I'm just going to dive right into them. We'll play them out. I'll give you my reactions, and just want to say thank you so much for everybody who did call in. Everybody, I really appreciate your thoughts ahead of time. I'm looking forward to diving into them, and I'm going to give a disclaimer. I have not listened to any of these beforehand. Noah sent them all over and said, let them rip, my dog, and here we go. We're going to do just that, and I'm very excited that we have these. We're going to start off here, and also forgive me for not knowing everybody's voice right off the jump. I'm sure Noah probably does. My apologies, but we are going to dive right in here with our first one, and let's see if we can get this
Jaylen
playing.
Warren was, catching all those passes and stuff and breaking away from tackles and stuff, which I think he's really good at that because he did so awesome last year. He caught like a touchdown or so. But here's what I think that they're going to use with Caleb Johnson, Rico Dowdle, and Jaylen Warren. I think what they're going to do is they're going to put Jaylen Warren at receiving back. Now, hear me out here. I think they're going to put him at receiving back, and I think they're going to cycle out Rico Dowdle and Caleb Johnson. Sorry, the name slipped my head. But yeah, and another thing I would do, and if I were the Steelers, I would put Jaylen Warren at receiving back mainly. Very fast. He can break away from tackles. Another thing I would do is I would put him like with Caleb Johnson or Rico Dowdle. I would put him like playing at fullback blocking for the running back, which would be awesome because Jaylen Warren's a big stocky dude. And we need to what we're going to be doing in the draft, and this is my opinion only, what we're going to be doing in the draft, we're going to be building depth for the future. Because I heard that you were talking about this. We're going to be building depth. Like, we need more safeties. We only have 3, as you said. We had Sebastian Castro, Deshaun Elliott, and Darnell Savage. I think. No, that's not Darnell Savage, is it? I don't remember. But just let me know. I'll be watching the show, and I hope you guys have a good day.
All right, I know we missed a little bit of the start there. I'm going to play just a little bit of the beginning here just so we get any other bits we missed. Apologies here. Then I'll dive into some thoughts, and then it looks like we got a multi-parter to kick things off. So I'm going to just replay the beginning of this real quick. Apologies, folks.
And I didn't know Rico Dowdle was that old. Not Rico Dowdle. Sorry. I didn't know DeAndre Hopkins was 34. I didn't know that at all. But he played pretty good last year. That's why I kind of want him. Because I think he played pretty good last year for Baltimore because I watched a couple of Baltimore games last year. And I think he played pretty decent. And he played pretty decent for against Pittsburgh, too. So that's why I think I got a little bit more speed into our wide receiver core. I think he would be, like I was saying on last, I think he would be a good 4. I think morely a 4. He would be a good 4. And I would put, it's Ernie Jones.
All right, that was from our boy Ernie. We got a couple of things here, and we'll dive in for a couple, the multi-part here as well. Let's start with the last thing we just heard here. DeAndre Hopkins as a number 4. I mean, listen, guy's 33, 34 years old. He's coming off a career low year. Was that because the Baltimore passing offense just didn't really exist, or was that because he's a 33, 34-year-old wide receiver who, how much does he have left in the tank? Those are 2 fair questions. There's going to be probably 2 more additions to the wide receiver group ahead of week 1 of the regular season. I think we can agree on that. Noah and I have talked a lot about, double dipping at the wide receiver position. We've been chatting a bunch about that in the Discord as well. We've been talking a ton about that behind the scenes also. Is that going to be the case, or is it going to be one addition via the draft, one more veteran via free agency? And I think there was a lot here we got into about Caleb Johnson trying to be utilized more. And I understand, I get it. There is going to be the urging is going to continue for the Steelers to find ways to utilize a second year running back. I understand that. I have no anticipation. Noah might feel a little bit differently, but I think we talked about this yesterday on the All Steelers Talk pod as well. I have really zero anticipation or belief that the Steelers are going to find creative ways or new innovative ways to find Caleb Johnson a role. They're just going to say, hey, if you come here and play well, if you come here and demand snaps due to your performance in the limited opportunities you'll get, great. Other than that, Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren are the guys. They're going to take up a ton of the roles. I do think the addition of Rico Dowdle allows for some of Jalen Warren's receiving skills to thrive, but I don't think it necessarily translates to Caleb Johnson's expanded role or even having a better chance of getting any larger opportunity. And you mentioned safeties as well before I play the next part of this. There was a recent update that just came out from Darnell Savage's agent. I forget his name, but he did speak to somebody in Houston's local radio and confirmed, or their local news affiliate, I should say, and confirmed that Darnell Savage, while he still has not signed with the Steelers, is going to sign with Pittsburgh, which would give another veteran player alongside Jaquan Brisker and Deshaun Elliott and Sebastian Castro. And I think that probably ends any more discussions or moves regarding the safety position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm going to play part 2 here from Ernie, and let's see what else we get.
Sorry, no, I got cut off. It's me again, Ernie Jones. I was when I was talking about I was talking about Roman Wilson. I have confidence that he could be a good 3. He did okay in some areas of the season last year, but I think he needs a little bit more work. And I really hope, and God, killing me to say this, man, for real. We need Aaron Rodgers back. I'm sorry. I know everybody's getting tired of hearing this guy rumors and coming back and stuff like that. But I heard from Big Ben. I don't know if you've heard that. He doesn't think. I read a site that says the whole thing what Big Ben said on football, and he says he doesn't know why Aaron Rodgers is taking so long because we have a wide receiver too, and we have all these good players to surround him with. He does not think Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And another thing that I found was I was finding something on watched it on Black and White Sports last night. And there's this guy ripping Aaron Rodgers. I forgot his name, but he said he's a former Steelers legend. I forgot his name. And he was saying, why do we gotta talk about all these Green Bay quarterbacks, like straight insulting Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre? It was crazy. I watched that on Black and White Sports, and shout out to them though, because they're good people. They're doing good. But yeah, I was just I know this is a long message. Oh, one more thing. With the Will Howard situation, what I was talking about him starting was I was talking about him starting in preseason. Maybe that could be a good builder for him. I was talking about him playing in preseason. Like, you don't need Aaron Rodgers in preseason, and he doesn't play preseason anyways. So you put Will Howard out there. That's what you do. With the receivers we got and stuff, if we get some good rookie receivers, they're going to be shining in preseason. I think so. I think with the 12 draft picks, Mike McCarthy's got a trick up his sleeve. He's gonna do something. He's gonna put Pittsburgh back on the map. He's gonna bring the Blitzburg back. I know I'm overreacting on all this, and I know you're probably giving me a weird look. But
Got it.
he's gonna. I don't know. I forgot. My mind went blank. Sorry, no, I got cut off. It's me again.
You're the man. I'm going to let this third part play out, and then we will address multiple points here to conclude Ernie's thoughts today.
Hey, no, it's me again. Sorry, I'm bombarding you with messages. But anyways, I'm in a very talkative mood, as you can tell. But anyways, what am I saying? Oh, I was just saying, shout out to your studio. I like it. It's a really cool studio. So like, that is a really cool studio you guys got. I mean, like, it's kind of different seeing you guys as like, you know, in a full body. It's different because I remember you guys being on like, you know, screens. But it's kind of different. It's cool though. I mean, like, it's cool. I love your studio. Your studio looks cool as fuck. I mean, cool as crap. Sorry, can't cuss on YouTube. But yeah. Anyways, like I said, I think that's what they're gonna do with the running backs, and I hope you got that. But I'm gonna get off the phone, and you guys have a good day. And shout out to you guys. Bye.
I tell you what, shout out to you, Ernie. Thank you so much for your thoughts, for your contributions, for, you know, your time here. For one, I appreciate everything you had to say. I have the whiteboard here next to me just so I don't forget to mention or get to any of the specific points you guys bring up today. Don't want to miss anything. But let's talk about my favorite Romain Wilson real quick and where we left off here in the middle of those messages here from Ernie. Listen, I've been the most critical of critics regarding Roman Wilson, but what I think needs acknowledged, or at least needs to be added for context, is that this organization has given nothing to Roman Wilson, right? Like, there was an injury in year one, and they were like, you're done. We don't even need you to come back this year. Oh, you're healthy? Just kidding. You're gonna go on IR, stay there. And it's because you can't read the playbook or something. Like, I don't know. Year two, he shows some flashes. I agree with Ernie. Like, he showed that he had put in some work, and while he was not the wide receiver two that everyone was hoping would emerge, whether it was him or Calvin Austin, whatever, he showed some signs of improvement. What more can you ask for a player who was given no opportunities as a rookie? And still, I would argue the biggest blow to his season was due to Aaron Rodgers, who misfired a terrible deep ball. I think it was in week like 13 or something like that. And that was the last thing we saw of Roman Wilson for the 2025 season. Now, I'm not saying, oh, they should have given him more time. He's the guy who's going to come in here. No, I think that's why the double dip at wide receiver is very, very likely. The Pittsburgh Steelers are probably going to take someone in the first two rounds as a wide receiver. Wouldn't be surprised if two of their first 5 picks are wide receivers in the upcoming draft. That pushes Roman Wilson to wide receiver 5 at best, in my opinion, with Benny Sco being, of course, the special teamer who's listed as a wide receiver, but really isn't going to do that much. For Mike McCarthy's West Coast offense, you genuinely need 5, 6, maybe 7 guys, not all on the 53-man active roster, of course, but you need multiple guys at the wide receiver position. So Roman's going to be here, I think, in a very limited capacity. I know Noah says that maybe there's some trade value there. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think there's none. So we'll see how that goes there. And they do need Aaron Rodgers back. It sucks. I hate it. You guys know how I feel about this. They do need Aaron Rodgers back. And it's, again, they have left themselves no other choice. What are they going to do? You can go into the season with Will Howard. You can go into the season with Mason Rudolph. Ben Roethlisberger, when he was on the Debo and Joe's show, suggested, hey, why not grab Josh Dobbs for just another veteran name, especially if Aaron doesn't re-sign. This is a situation the Steelers have put themselves in. It's not a good one. So they do need Aaron Rodgers back. They need someone who can facilitate an offense. I am not a fan of this at all. I really don't want to watch another season of Aaron Rodgers as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, but what the hell else is supposed to happen. And lastly, those studio reactions, I appreciate it greatly. I imagine it's probably pretty weird seeing people's full bodies after you've been seeing them just from the torso up. And unfortunately for you guys, we are not in Hollywood for a reason. You know what I mean? So I imagine it's probably tougher to look at. But we appreciate it. The new studio is awesome. I think for Noah and I, we really appreciate being able to be just like in person with one another. I mean, we are very good friends, and I think that being able to be next to one another and kind of play off of one another while we're talking about stuff is super duper helpful. So I'm glad you guys appreciate it. I know Noah is glad you guys appreciate it as well. And we appreciate all the feedback as well, positive, negative. We want to hear about it so we can make it the best possible show for you guys going forward. So I appreciate that, Ernie, very, very much. And let's drop in here with another multi-parter here for number 2. Let's give it a listen.
Noah, my guy, it is Pickled Egg. I'm off the meds, so I'm back calling, baby. I'm back. Woohoo! Let's go. Out there building a juggernaut. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Got a lot to cover. It's been a minute, so bear with me. Probably going to have to call back.
Take your time.
Shout out to you and Jacob out there killing it. I don't know what's going on with the TV stuff. Hope that happens for you guys. You all deserve it. You're doing great, and enjoy all the content, and can't thank you enough. Going to start off with Tyson if he falls to 21. Me personally, I'm done with us taking injured players. I know how great he is. Before you go off the rails and yell at me and tell me how stupid I am, he's great. But how great, he's the number 1 pick in the draft for us. I need a guy that's going to play more than 10 games a season, right? Even if those 10 games are epic, go find me a Hines Ward. Go find me an AB. Go find me somebody that's going to be a stud that just plays. Even if you get into Denzel Boston or whatever his name is, you know, I believe some reports came out, maybe he doesn't love the game, maybe anything that's questionable about a receiver in the first round, I don't want him. I don't want him. Build your lines. Just be a beast up front. Go find your next future Hall of Fame left tackle. Do something. Please do something. Brings me to another point of we have brought in so many guys with injury histories. Guys get hurt. Falatano, do we have a backup for him? You know, played great last year. Hope it continues. I wish him nothing but the best. I want him to stay healthy. But guys will eventually get hurt. You know, if he gets hurt on the right side, is our line done? Are we done? Do we have anybody coming in behind Falatanu? You know, another thing, are they gonna, what happens in next year's draft class? Do we trade down to draft in this class because Tyson's hurt, because there's nothing that we have to take in the first round we could get in a second? Do we trade down for draft stock next year? Because the big problem is we can't give away 3 first-round picks to go get a quarterback. Noah, my guy, it is Pickled Egg. I'm off the meds.
All right. I'm sorry that I don't know what your name is besides Pickled Egg, so maybe I'll hear it in the next part here. But let's just lots to dive into. Wide receiver, offensive line concerns, trading down in 27 or in 26 for 27. Let's keep it rocking here with part 2 here, and then we'll dive in a little bit further.
Sorry, Noah, it's Pickled Egg again. I think we got cut off. To that point, picking up where I left off, do we trade down? Because again, we're going to be in the same spot. We're going to be picking 21, 22, 23, 24, maybe 32. So how do we, if we pick 32, I guess you give away all the draft picks and just move up and get a quarterback for the future. And, you know, for 3 years, we're not taking in the first round. But what does it look like if we're in the same spot next year? How far do we have to move up to get our guy? Now we got Ben at 11, but what's that look like, right? And I hear you all the time. You'll get on some Ravens news. This is another topic. Get on some Ravens news or Cincinnati news or something like that. You're like, oh, this is Steelers podcast. We all get that, and I don't want to speak for the crowd, but I'm speaking for me. We all hate the Ravens too. We love hearing bad news or just news. It doesn't, you can hit those topics. I don't think we mind. I was at a concert in Baltimore a couple days ago, and the guy didn't shout out the Ravens, brought up the Ravens, and he was like, well, I think I heard some boos. And I booed, man. I booed. I let them know. No, not in this house. No. Nobody, no. So don't feel bad if you got to bring them up. If you bring them up. And now back to the draft a little bit. As we draft, can we get 5? What's a good draft look like? 5 guys in the top 100. If we get 1 all-pro superstar, 1 star, 1 long-time starter, and a couple quality team guys, is that too much to ask? Is that, we got to knock this draft out of the park, dude. I think we got potential to be a juggernaut when we get a quarterback. Omar's doing great work. You look at other teams, everybody comes down on Omar every now and again, but he was building teams for Tomlin. They were trying to put it together the way they saw fit. Tomlin's not there anymore. Omar's doing his thing, and it doesn't matter who's there. He's doing the best for what they want, and I think he's crushing it. So, but tell me what a great draft's going to look like in this round. And my last point, sorry, Noah, it's pickled egg again. I think we got
pickled egg. Keeping it trucking. We'll go part 3 real quick too, and then we have about a 7-point dissertation that I'll dive into.
Hey, no, sorry, brother. One last
no sorry
thing,
needed,
and then I'll leave it to everybody else. But quarterbacks, please don't waste a draft pick on one of these quarterbacks. I've told you, we're a Penn State house, and we've watched Drew Aller. Now, maybe it was Franklin. Maybe it was Franklin. When you run it up the middle 3 times and everybody knows, it was like watching the Steelers run the same play over and over and over again, and none of them worked, and you're like, well, damn. So I know Aller has all those traits, but damn, he could never do it. Was it Franklin or was it Drew Aller? I hate to put it on the kid, but the way the past 2 seasons have gone, you said it a couple months ago. I didn't think he was going to get drafted. And now we're talking about potentially bringing him in. I don't know. And the whole Beck thing, another guy that maybe doesn't love the game, I can't. Dude, don't wait. Use a 5th round pick on another Spencer Anderson. Find something that's going to potentially turn into something, and I get it with quarterback, but don't throw darts at the board there. Throw darts at the board with linemen. Because those big boys that play the line, maybe it takes a couple of years to develop, and all of a sudden, Cook. Look at Cook. He was serviceable. Let's just, don't waste it on a quarterback that is going to be a Skylar Thompson, right? Oh, man, a 5th round pick. And I know y'all are like, well, it's maybe. And maybe they turn into a stud, but I'd rather miss out. And to that point, I get your thing with Will Howard, But I mean, dude's Captain America. I gotta root for him. I gotta hope he turns into, Tom Brady. I just do. He just, come on, let's go. But when we do pick up a number one, unfortunately, but man, I'm rooting for that kid hard. So anyway, thanks Noah. Thanks Jacob. Boys, keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Love you all. God bless. Peace.
Wow. Well, we love you, Pickled Egg. We appreciate the support more than anything. Thank you so much. Thank you. These are great. Let's work backwards here. Let's start with the quarterback stuff. And again, I'll reference my whiteboard here to make sure I have everything down and can cover all of these tidbits that we're going to break down. I agree with you. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to what we've been saying on the All Steelers talk, I see nothing worthwhile in investing in these quarterbacks in the 2026 NFL draft. Carson Beck, pass. Drew Aller, pass. Ty Simpson, big pass. Even though Dan Orlovsky will say that he's the best quarterback in the draft, and that has no ulterior motive, that doesn't come from any sort of bias or any sort of relationships that are pre-existing or business related. No way at all. It's just Dan Orlovsky having a fully formed opinion that isn't contrarian just for a specific reason. Shit pisses me off. Pass on all of them. If you take somebody in round 7, you take Cole Payton in round 7, Sawyer Robertson in round 7, Taylon Green in round 6, like who cares, right? Like that's not a problem. There's no acceptable reason in my mind for the Pittsburgh Steelers to waste one of those first 5 picks or one of their first picks in the first 4 rounds on a quarterback. So I'm fully in agreement with you on that. And I think I want to pivot into a potential draft situation or priority that maybe we're overlooking here that Pickled Egg brought up here, because if Troy Fautanu is injured, knock on wood, God forbid, what do they do next? Okay. The first answer is probably or most likely Dylan Cook. I also think that there is the situation where, and Noah and I talked about this as well. This is going to happen. Broderick Jones and Dylan Cook, barring a potential first round pick of a left tackle, barring that, it's going to be friggin' Broderick Jones and Dylan Cook battling it out, wink, wink, for the starting left tackle position, which will result in Broderick Jones being the left tackle once again and Dylan Cook being the backup for the left or the right side. Now, in a specific situation where left tackle is not a problem, Dylan Cook being the backup on either side is great because he has become serviceable at 27 years old. He has become a legitimate backup who can start for a little bit. The depth is still not enough. Could a player like, and this is an article that I have actually not finished yet, but will come out soon, will a player like Caleb Lamu out of Utah, who was a left tackle that did not allow a single sack in 2025, a player who's suddenly falling down draft boards because he needs to be a little bit stronger? Is that a player like a Vega Ione from Penn State that you just can't pass on at 21? And does that give you the depth you need at the tackle position? They have to have some more either versatility, and Brock Hoffman provides offensive line versatility for sure. I'm not pumped about him being the backup right tackle if that's what happens. Jack Driscoll is under contract as well. I'd be okay with adding a top young guy, whether that's round 1, round 2, something like that. You can't reach. I'd rather them reach at different positions, but I think right tackle, the depth of it is something the Steelers need to have a little bit more thought and anticipation put into heading into 2026. But rest assured, Troy Fautanu, all pro right tackle. He's going to be excellent in year 3. How would they trade down, or is the possibility of trading down into 2027 possible in 2026 to acquire 2027 picks? Yeah, I think it's possible. I think it certainly could happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they really don't like anyone at 21, or they think they could get somebody, use the same player, a Caleb Lamu from Utah, if they're like, we can probably get him at 25 and pick up an extra, or 25 to 32, and we can get a third round pick in 27 or a second round pick in 27 in exchange for that, or as a part of that trade, they're going to do it because they do need to, bulk up. They need to add as many draft picks and assets as possible so that they can move up in 2027. How far? I mean, if you ask me, it's there's going to be a ton of quarterbacks available in 2027. I mean, I wrote an article recently about, how this draft class is, historic, that is getting that title already. And of course, we said this last year, the anticipation oftentimes exceeds the reality. But I mean, let's just run through some names that could be available in 2027. Arch Manning, Lenore Sellers, DJ Lagway, Trinidad Chambliss, Dante Moore, Brandon Sorsby, Julian Sayin, Darian Mensah. I mean, these are guys that have a lot of potential. If they all pan out, if things go according to plan, this could be another year where 5-6 quarterbacks go in round one. That tells me maybe you don't have to move into the top 5 or top 10. Maybe it is something closer to, picks 11 to 17, somewhere in the teens. That Ben Roethlisberger draft pick you mentioned comes to mind. That could be the case. So I think they're going to need to. 21's not likely going to land you a franchise quarterback. You have to get up at least into the teens. That being said, if you can be very calculated about how you spend these 2026 draft picks and how you use them to possibly move back, I think that would be a huge, huge long-term plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Omar Khan has the forefront. He has the anticipation, the knowledge, the sort of analytical mind, to where I already think he's thinking about those things and might already be putting some plans into motion ahead of this year's draft. The last point I want to get to here, the Jordan Tyson thing. I get it. Like, look, I think Jordan Tyson, if he's healthy, is going to be the best wide receiver and most productive out of him, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston. And I've given pretty glowing reviews about all of these guys and evaluations, right? So this is not me being nitpicky or favoritism or anything like that. But if I were to just tell you that there's a wide receiver who was uber talented but has suffered the 3 following injuries during his past few seasons at college, a hamstring injury, a torn ACL, and a broken collarbone, how much would that give you pause? And I bring up another player, Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy, who is facing a similar situation where he had a torn ACL, didn't play a single game in 2025, and teams have to ask this question: do we take that chance on that player? Personally, Jordan Tyson or Jermod McCoy, absolutely. I think the risk is worth the reward, but I totally understand. I think it's a valid point to feel like if there's any trepidation, there's any holdup, there's any reason to say no or to even question, you move on to the next player who doesn't have any of those qualifications. So I understand that. Me personally, I think the Steelers can take a risk here with a player like Jordan Tyson. They need a wide receiver who's a superstar. And boy, I think he's going to be one. But thank you so much, Pickwood Egg, for all of those thoughts. We'll jump in here to number 3 here while I erase my whiteboard.
Hello, what is up? I just got a few things. So what do Pennsylvania people love more than anything else? Other Pennsylvania people. I can tell you from New York.
True.
New York people hate New York people. So, in this year's draft, at pick 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers will choose Boston. But, in the second round, they will get their quarterback from Penn State, Drew Allen. And he will sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. And in the next year's draft, they will be picking a left tackle in the first round. And we will begin Zachariah Branch and surrounding Drew Allen with a plethora of weapons for the next year. It sucks because I'm a Will Howard fan, big time. But Pennsylvania people love Pennsylvania people. And I truly believe that Big Ben's voice is going through the locker room and coach's office. I know you hear the inside and we don't, but Big Ben's getting loud saying that they need to build the room and then input quarterback. So, I mean, if you can save first-round picks and draft capital and all of that and get a quarterback that needs to develop, then he's got the talent, he's got the arm, he's got it all. He just needs to learn how to be a better quarterback, I guess. But you got Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers to help him do it. If he's a better prospect than Will Howard, I see it happening. I know no one else does, but I'd rather have Will Howard, but we'll see, and like to see your thoughts on that. I'd love to have a double dip on the wide receiver too, Boston and Branch. I'm a huge Branch fan now after watching more and more highlights and everything about him. I think he is a great slot guy. Better than Calvin Austin, maybe a few inches taller. So maybe he'll be seen over the middle. And whatever happened to that other tight end that we signed last year, that big guy that got hurt before the season? Is he still on the team, or what happened to that? I'm not sure. All right, Noah. Have a good one. Always remember, Noah, what is up?
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it greatly. Let's start with the tight end. You mentioned Donald Parham Jr. Yeah, he suffered a torn Achilles, I think it was. And it was a 1-year deal when he signed in Pittsburgh. So he's currently a free agent. There's been no update. It was a torn Achilles, just confirmed that when I double checked the reserved/injured list from last year. Yeah, this is a guy who, I wish him nothing but the best. That is, especially for a guy who is a big tight end like Parham is, an Achilles injury could be, detrimental. I'm not sure what the update is. I'm not sure how healthy he is. If he is close to 100%, the Steelers clearly need another tight end. Yeah, that would be a great addition. Him, Darnell Washington, Pat Fryermuth. Then you have 3 guys if you want to take a flyer on an undrafted free agent like they did last year. A player, if you remember, JJ Galbraith was a player who came in after the draft and impressed in some spots during training camp and preseason, found his way to the practice squad roster at points. Maybe that is the direction they're going to head this year as well. They do need more depth behind Pat Fryermuth and Darnell Washington. And don't get me wrong, those two are going to be the focal points when it comes to involving tight ends in the offense. Like the Troy Fautanu conversation from the last call, you need to have proper depth, even if you are in love with or very set on the 2 players that you have or players that you have in the starting role. So that is a name to watch. But tight end, of course, is going to be a position to keep our eyes on as the draft gets closer and right after, because the Steelers need more players at the position, quite simply. Let's go keep working our way backwards. Zachariah Branch is a great player. I think he can be a perfect slot guy. The size, bigger than Calvin Austin, yes, gave me a big giggle, but I think he's still a relatively small player, 5'9", 170 at the combine. Like, this is a guy who could be not exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for in terms of a physical size. In terms of route running, quickness, absolutely. There's a player that I've been falling in love with recently when it comes to finding wide receivers, and it's Alabama's Jeremy Bernard. I think this is a guy who can do the same thing. He is explosively fast. He wasn't a 4.26 guy, wasn't a 4.3 guy at the combine, but he's fast, he's agile, a precise route runner who's played against some stiff competition defensively. I think he's a guy who could start as a slot receiver, work his way into a more prominent outside role with time. And in the meantime, you have a 6-foot receiver who's 200 pounds, who absorbs contact and is elite in his speed. So that's a player to look out for. You guys know how I feel about Denzel Boston. I don't buy any of the, this is, I hate this, nitpickiness that happens and is only targeted at wide receivers. I feel in this pre-draft process, you get guys who will look at Denzel Boston. You watch every single game he's played. He creates separation routinely, and you'll see someone go, he's a little slow. His foot speed ain't that fast. And it's like, okay, why does he have to have a perfect mechanic? So what if he runs like Forrest Gump if he's getting separation? Like, I don't really care about that. It's too much. Watch what the player does on the field, evaluate what the competition he was playing against was, make your conclusion. Let's not overthink this. You know what I mean? This is caveman stuff. Denzel Boston's going to be a good player. I'm excited for him. Drew Aller in round 2. Not going to lie. Hated that. Hated hearing it. Hurt my ears to hear it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I appreciate your perspective, and I think that there are, to give you credit and to acknowledge your point here a little bit more, the arm strength is elite, right? And like when you have a quarterback that has a trait, a singular trait when he's that young that is elite, I mean, the light bulbs go off. You think we can mold the rest of this, but maybe I'm just too skeptical. And I'll give a disclaimer. I did graduate from the University of Pittsburgh, but my wife graduated from Penn State. So like I try to keep an even household here. I just don't see those traits developing. I see a guy who's got a big arm, but doesn't really quite know how to play quarterback, like you said. That's a risk that I think I am not willing to take, as opposed to some of these injuries and some other guys we talked about here on the Collins show today. But would I be surprised if the Steelers took him in round 2? Honestly, no. Nothing this team does surprises me, and especially whenever they do things that I think are stupid. So, we'll see how that goes there. But thank you so much for the call in there. I appreciate all your thoughts, and I appreciate you tuning in here for the Collins show. We'll move on here to number 4 in the Collins show.
Hey, no, it's Ernie Jones. I don't know if this is going to be on your call-in show since it's today, but I got a couple ideas. If it isn't, then I'll just call the next week. I got a couple of things. I've been looking up and seeing the Max Crosby trade for T.J. Watt, but here's the thing: how about trade a third rounder and Nick Herbig, and maybe a couple late round picks, day 3, day 4 picks for him? Because I would do that. And another thing that I heard is James Devo Harrison, the former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, he's trying to lure Joe Burrow into Pittsburgh. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about my ideas. I don't know if it's going to be on the show since it's Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. But if it's not, then I'll resend it.
Ernie, my man, great news. You got 2 on today, my dude. 2 in the morning, don't matter. Noah wakes up at like 6 in the morning. So, you basically caught him right before the alarm. Let's talk about this. I'm going to go in reverse order again, because that's just the way I'm reading the stuff on my whiteboard. So bear with me here, Ernie. Luring Joey B to Pittsburgh. I mean, hell, let me get in on it. Joey B, whatever you want, brother. Like, we'll get you here. You can be a franchise quarterback. You have a better offensive line. That sounds great. James Harrison, of course, does have some relationships with the Cincinnati Bengals due to a brief stint there during his playing days. But how realistic of a lure is it? I'd say not much. But I think there is, the noise is growing, and it's only going to get louder and crescendo because Joe Burrow is not going to be a Cincinnati Bengal for very long. Maybe that's another season, but I said this, I stand by it. I hope that my memory is not misleading me, but I think when I first started the All Steelers Talk podcast, or first started co-hosting it with Noah, one of the things we talked about was Joe Burrow. And I was like, dude, there's just no way he's there in 2027 because he's probably going to be in LA. And it just seems obvious that they didn't achieve enough. And he's a player that is he's got that star factor, and I think that is just what an NFL big market like the Los Angeles one can really maximize on with Joe Burrow. So I think there is a chance, not a chance, a likelihood, a strong possibility, a realistic chance that Joey B is playing elsewhere by 2027. We'll see. Crosby for Watt, like Watt is not going anywhere. That would be actually the one thing that surprises me. I'll go back on my words from 2 minutes ago. If the Steelers trade TJ Watt in this season or before the season begins, I would be absolutely shocked. I think it is a 0% chance of happening. Is Max Crosby going to be moved? I gotta say, man, I give Crosby a ton of credit, right? And like this is not shade to the Raiders or anything like that. Like they're rebuilding. It makes sense that they would try to move on from a player who makes a ton of money and that they could get 2 first-round picks from. Credit to Max Crosby for now coming back and being like, you know what? I'll just get back to work and be a Raider. That's crazy. If Noah told me that he tried to get me on a different show and it just fell through, I wouldn't come back. Like I would just be like, nah, dude. That's crazy. Appreciate it. I think Crosby's going to be dealt again. They need to, they don't need to do it for salary cap purposes, but they need to do it for the rebuilding process of their team. So I think you could do that. A Herbig and a third, some other piece for Max Crosby. If I'm the Raiders, I take this. I'm massaging this deal into a third this year and next year or something like that. And I get Nick Herbig, a guy who, even when I work out an extension with, will make less money cumulatively per year average than Max Crosby does on this current deal. You don't get the 2 first-round picks you would have gotten in that Baltimore Ravens trade, but I mean, hell, you got a player that you can build around. He's going to be 25. Like, this is a great guy. I think Nick Herbig can be a 10-sack player in the right system. Is that in Las Vegas and a new defensive coordinator and a new defensive system? I'm not sure. I think it can happen in Pittsburgh under Patrick Graham, but that's a trade from the Las Vegas perspective. I absolutely understand. If you're the Steelers, do you want to take on another big contract for a veteran defender when you've already done that several times now and you've added to that via free agency as well? And you had the 29th ranked passing defense last year. You were a middle of the road running team. You were bottom 10 in total points and yards allowed. I think you should probably invest in upgrades elsewhere. But man, I mean, Max Crosby is Max Crosby for a reason. You got to think long and hard about a trade like that. So I appreciate it, Ernie. Great thoughts there. I think there's going to be another move. I feel like Omar Khan's, they're done, right? Like they don't want to make a ton of moves besides the draft, but that could be the smoke screen coming here. I'm interested to see. But moving on here to our next call.
What is up, Noah and Jacob? Papaya salad, keeping it spicy. Noticed that Aaron Rodgers, A-Rod, and Will Howard are chumming it up at charity events or just an event, maybe multiple. Mentor, mentee, hanging out just before the draft. What do you guys think? What do you think, Noah? You think that's your sign? What do you know? What's out there? What's out in the universe of you insiders? I mean, it's pretty apparent that they're not afraid to be in public together. And Aaron's a weird guy. I don't know why. You would think that you would know what you're going to be doing in 3-4 months for a career, or if you're going to end your career. I mean, you would think that. You would think that you set goals for yourself and you know exactly when you're going to retire. But apparently this guy's a little different. So I think it's a good sign that he's hanging out with Will Howard and or vice versa. But what do you think? Is this indication that he's coming soon, or what's the deal? Papaya salad, keeping it spicy.
Papaya salad, keeping it spicy for sure. Okay, here's the reporter information to know. Aaron Rodgers is a co-founder of a charity event that hosted a flag football game recently. One of the participants at the charity flag football game was Will Howard. That's the who, what, when, where, and why, right? Um, this is as you point out, Papaya Salad. This is the part about Aaron Rodgers that is weird, right? And this is the part that is, and that's me throwing a judgmental adjective on it. This is what makes him so unique, right? To be, I guess, more less critical. For any other quarterback, right? Like if Ben Roethlisberger, as we're getting into like the 2019-2020 season, we don't see him in the off season, but then he's at a charity event with other Steelers. We take that to mean, or would have taken that to be a sign that, oh, he's coming back sick. You cannot assume the same with Aaron Rodgers. I will also kind of backtrack a little bit here. Let me just, without getting to too much of the specifics, every conversation I had in Indianapolis with anybody who covers the Steelers, has covered Aaron Rodgers around the league, was unanimous. Aaron Rodgers is coming back for another season, and he probably signs before the NFL draft. That is what everybody has believed and continued to believe. That's still where I think I fall on this whole Aaron Rodgers situation. And I mean, what am I supposed to do otherwise here? I think it's quite ridiculous that there isn't a deal already in place or that has been confirmed, right? Maybe there is a situation like last year. Obviously, there was a deal in place that just wasn't signed until Aaron Rodgers was ready, but there was never really a doubt internally that he was coming. That same sort of confidence just does not it's it's not here. The Omar Khan said to all of us in Indianapolis, this is on the record, like this is not a off the record comment. He said he did not foresee this Aaron Rodgers situation going like it did last year, except for it's going exactly like it did last year. So clearly they're either, this is either an Omar Khan lie, this is either a con from the con man, or it was an honest admission of where they thought things were. I know what I believe. I wonder what you guys believe. But no, we cannot take this as mentor confirming with mentee, getting in a little bit of fraternizing ahead of the season. I think this is just another day for Aaron Rodgers as he makes his decision on his timeline, and we just deal with it. I'll move on to it's our last caller today, and I am going to be honest. I think there's a multiple part of it, and I'm not sure if I have all of them here, but we will listen to as much as we can, and we will go from there as we close out today's call-in show. So let's give this first part here a listen and see what we got.
Noah, it's your favorite calling in. I told you, as promised. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking over my list right now. I had at least 2 mock drafts ready for you, and then I watched the episode yesterday, and then it changed everything. Because I'm trying to make everybody happy, but make sure that we're doing things correctly here. So, this is for March 25th, all right? I know it's a little late. I may not make the cut. You're probably already filming this, and I'll probably put on first next week. If that's the case, disregard everything that I'm saying right now. It's going to be a different story next week. So what I had today we had Jordan Tyson hit at number 1. Now, Doc is dropping. I'm seeing Omar Cooper get taken before him with the Jets. He's landing at us. Whatever. I was just going to let it fly. I did put a cornerback down at the time. Whatever. Skip. Regardless, number 2, unanimously. Every draft I do, I'm not skipping it. Neither should you. Jacob Rodriguez. I'm telling you, we need more Latino presence on this team. And this is the guy, production master. He is basically, I couldn't even give you a comparison. he's just putting up so much production. But you're getting a Luke Kuechly mindset. You know what I'm saying? This dude just sees the plays happen. Okay, I get it. He's not the biggest guy. Okay, but you don't have to be the biggest guy when you get stuff done for the team. All right. Next pick at number 76, I got Danny Dennis Sutton. Now, a surprise. We don't need an edge rusher. I get that, but I'm looking at the picks on the board. We could have got AJ Halsey, but y'all said, hey, don't get a safety. We're covered at safety. All right. I'm not going to stretch a top-tier pick for a safety if we don't need it. Now, they did have Dominique Orange. I don't like the guy. He doesn't have enough starts on his plate. All right? So, again, you're not worth that level of a pick. Yes, you got the frame and the body, but I can't do it. Not when I got someone like this guy who's going to put up something dangerous. The only other person available at that pick that was above him was Stowers. But we don't really need a tight end like that. And there's other tight ends in the draft that I like more than him. Respectfully. Moving on. Next pick at number 85. We got Darrell Jackson Jr. Come on now. We just talked about him yesterday. He is a mountain. He's as tall as he is wide. It's crazy. Dude is a block. He's like the stone from Mario Kart. Noah! It's your favorite. Calling in.
Well, let it keep rolling here. I think I do the next part.
I didn't even notice that the message cut off and hung up on him. So I don't even know where I left off. I was just ranting. At that point. So let me just run through the picks real fast, and I'll just point out the ones that I think.
Thank you.
My little sleeper picks. And we can kind of go from there, right? So number 1 at 21, Jordan Tyson. Pick 53, Jacob Rodriguez. Guaranteed. There's no arguments. 76, Danny Dennis Sutton. 85, Darrell Jackson Jr. 99, Davison Igbino's son. 121, Bud Clark. 135, Dude Bowery. 161, Rayshawn Benny. 216, Jeff Cadwell. This is one of my sleeper picks. Literally, second highest rated wide receiver ever. I think since like 1985, has the highest grade next to Megatron. Are you kidding me? Megatron? You have a perfect and elite rating? Sleeper at 216. I'm taking him. And then 224 took Kendrick Law. There wasn't a lot to get there. He already came in for a visit. We need more depth. Screw it. Let's get a nice, young, talented, and cheap wide receiver room. All right? Let the future build behind there. 230, I'm just making the people happy because, again, there wasn't really a lot to choose from. Kate Klubnik. Whatever. Great value at that pick, 7th round. Come on. And then 237, Devin Marshall, NC State quarterback. Another sleeper. Just wait. If he's not ready to go right away, he's a developmental piece. He's got the things there. He's proven that he's done it before. He just has to do it on a consistent basis. Those are my picks. You let me know. Go ahead and share this with that unseasoned cutlet Pontori himself, because he had some trouble over there drafting. I'm just trying to give him some help. I wish I had more time on here to kind of argue my point. There's only so much time, and we got a lot to do today. So I hope you guys have a good one. And let's just do a quick shout out to none other than Cordell Roman Pontori himself. All right, shout out. It's all about the boys this month, right? There we go. Bo and Cordell. You guys have a good one. I got.
I'm dead. This is fantastic. I've never ever been called an unseasoned cutlet, if I heard you correctly. And that's the greatest insult I've ever been called. Thank you. Thank you genuinely for the love, and shout out to my future son who will be here next month. Thank you for all your thoughts. And let's run through your mock draft here. If Jordan Tyson falls at 21, you take the guy. I mean, listen, the exceptions would be if Caleb Downs is still available for some reason, or if Vega Iones is still available. I'm thinking twice, but love that pick in at 21, excuse me. Second round, Denny Sutton out of Penn State. I mean, listen, the player's fine. The player's gonna probably be an excellent one at the next level. Oh man. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I skipped Jacob Rodriguez in round 2. I get that. Let's talk about him first. I listen, I think there is a reason why a lot of teams like him. I think there is nothing that I can say to argue against the production. And the thing that you keyed in on here is that he has this brain for the game. He diagnoses and responds to plays faster than I would argue than any other linebacker in this class. And a lot of guys who are already playing in the NFL. The size is not what bugs me about Jacob Rodriguez. It's and I made a joke about this earlier. It's the fact that he does not possess the sort of unreal athleticism that matches the way he is so cerebral on the field. Yes, he knows what's happening, but it doesn't always mean that he gets to where things are going to go. He was incredible. Double award winner in 2025 with Texas Tech, the best linebacker, best defender in the country. I get that. If he is the pick, I'm not super mad. I just think there is an area of development that could really make him transcend and turn him into a star linebacker at the next level. He's probably going to be a round 2 pick, so I'm cool with that. Denny Sutton, great edge rusher. The value, I think, would be nice at 76 for sure, but there's other needs, right? Like, and you get into it here a little bit here when you who did you get? Daryl Jackson Jr. at 85, and that is, I love the description, as tall as he is, as wide as he is tall, because I've said this so many times on the podcast, this guy's ginormous, right? Like, talking to him at the combine, you're just like, I don't know how I exist in this world, because I'm a 5'9" on my best day man who's overweight. And this is a guy who is 7'12" and he's a metric ton, and he runs a 4.6. So I'm like, how the hell does this happen? He'd be a great pick at 85 before I go any further. Davison Igbonison, great mid-round cornerback out of Ohio State. Would love to see him here as well. Let's talk about your couple of sleepers here. Jeff Caldwell, I believe, was one of them, out of the University of Cincinnati. I talk about another big boy to add to the party. 6'5" guy. This guy doesn't have he's not like, overwhelming with production, but he does have all the physical tools to be just like a DK Metcalf, to be very similar to a Michael Pittman Jr. And you bet you can get him around pick 180 to 240, 230, whatever it is, to finish out the draft. And then I love Kendrick Law as well, as a return guy. That I don't see an obvious return guy here aside from Jalen Warren. So they need that addition here. And I think there's somebody else here, but I gotta be honest, I cannot read my own writing. But I will say, overall, this is a B plus A minus grade on the draft here. I think you addressed several positions of need, and you were able to go and get some best players available at picks that maybe people weren't expecting, but the value you have added is certainly that. And I think if 3 of those players hit, and I think this was this was part of another call from earlier that I don't think I fully addressed. If 3 players hit, and by hit I mean 1 5 to 7 year starter, 2 starters, or just players who can contribute for 3 to 4 seasons, that's a win for this year's draft. I know they have 12 picks, so maybe expectations are higher, but 3-4 players, I think you did a great job. And if they're following what just happened here, I probably did a good job of doing that as well. So I think it's going to do it for me here. I'm just checking real quick to make sure there's no other calls. I think we're good. So if I missed anybody, I'm so sorry. Noah will get you in the next call-in show. But thank you so much for everybody who did call in today and gave your opinions. It was a super fun one. I'm pumped that I was able to jump on here and do this. If we'll be back with the All Steelers Talk pod later today. I put out a Puntori's playbook the other day. My big board is over on the Patreon and the YouTube community if you want to see my top 100 players heading into the 2026 NFL draft. And catch all the rest of our shit everywhere else, guys. We appreciate you guys so much. And we'll be talking to you later. But until I do, you know what I say, be good to yourselves and be good to others. I'll see you in soon. Peace.